Good morning, everyone. The last lecture was on Weberian understanding of legitimacy and law in relation of social order. So now we are going to start another topic, and this is very important topic, and it's on sociological jurisprudence and sociology of law. So if you look at sociological jurisprudence and sociology of law, both are interrelated to each other. Sociology or sociological jurisprudence deals with the theory of law. It also deals with the social functions of law. So it can be pragmatic, it can be theoretical, but a sociology of law, we are talking about more descriptive nature. And it's all about understanding the various social institutions and the interrelations. So before understanding or before discussing the sociological jurisprudence, let's have a good understanding of what is sociology. So, my dear students, this discipline is very important when it comes to law. Sociology as a discipline deals with the science of society. So, sociology as a discipline is very important, and it's considered as one of the most important discipline among others that deals with the social relations, social organizations, and various kinds of interrelations. So what you have to keep in mind, just go through different social thinkers like Auguste Comte, Max Weber, Emile Durkheim, and Karl Marx. So sociology as a word has been coined by Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte is considered as the founding father of sociology. But in sociology, if you look at sociology, sociology has a very scientific approach when it deals with the study of any social phenomena or social issues. So that you have to keep in your mind, and you have to keep in your mind the work done by Auguste Comte. So Comte was the first who established a new discipline, sociology, to study society in a scientific manner. So scientific manner becomes very important here. He had an enormous influence on early sociological theories, especially on Herbert Spencer. Herbert Spencer was a British biologist, and Emile Durkheim and Auguste Comte is popularly known as um, uh, the founding father of sociology. He is considered the founding father of sociology. He is born on January 1798 in France, and his father was a minor government official, but he wanted his son's career in the field of politics. But Auguste Comte was more interested in understanding the social phenomena because what you have to keep in your mind whenever you're trying to understand any particular social thinker, you have to understand, you have to relate that thinker with that particular context. So whenever you will be going through any particular theory, then you have to relate with that particular context. So Auguste Comte was talking about this social phenomena or scientific sociology during 19th century. So you have to understand the entire context of 19th century in Europe. So sociology in general as a discipline, it deals with the study of society in a systematic, rational, and scientific manner. What is law? Then it is a very important topic. So law means we are talking about rules and regulations. We're talking about which is written, which is codified, which is systematic. So law also brings social change. So law as a social institution is very important when we have to control the society, when we have to deal with any kind of social conflict, when we have to uh, understand social progress or social development. So the importance of law or the significance of law becomes very important. So law you can understand as a social institution as well as a legal institution. So when you have to understand law as a social institutions, then you have to relate law with other institutions. But when you have to understand law as a legal institutions, like legal system, then you have to understand the entire structure and functioning of the legal system in India. So now come to the what is the relationship between law and sociology. There is a very you can say that a very abstract or concrete relationship between law and society, both at macro and micro level. So both are interrelated to each other, both influences each other. So if you look at sociology and the law, so both are, you can say that sociology of law is also one discipline, And when you relate law with sociology, both helps each other. So sociology helps the law when in understanding the various social phenomena. So sociological literature becomes very important for lawmakers or the policymakers or the legal advisors or the legal policymakers. So sociological literature is also considered important because it gives us a very deep understanding of the society, because sociology as a subject deals with both macro and micro relationships. What is sociology of law? Sociology of law is one branch of sociology, like sociology of gender, like sociology of religion. So sociology of law deals with the descriptive study of law. It deals with the legal institutions. So sociology of law helps us to understand the more about the society, more about the interrelations, more about the network society, more about the influence of society on law, and how law influences society or human behavior. So sociology of law as a discipline, as a specialization, is very important for a law student, and to have a good understanding of the society. For example, we talk about Indian society, so we should be very much clear about the context and concept of Indian society. So if you look at European society, when you compare Europe with India or the West with India, so you have to be very much clear about the context of society or the structure and functioning of society in both the contexts. What is sociological jurisprudence? The sociological approach to the study of law is the most important characteristics of our age. Jurists belonging to the school of thought are concerned more with the working of law rather than its abstract content. Their principal premises is that the law must be studied in action and not in textbooks. They have been at work upon in jurisprudence with reference to the judgmental relations and ordering of human conduct, which is involved in group life. They are concerned with the study of law in relation to society. They concentrate on actual social circumstances, which gives rise to legal institutions. Sociological jurists insist on the unity of social sciences and the impossibility of the wholly detached self, centered self. They insist that the legal order is a phase of social control, and that is cannot be understood unless taken in its whole setting among social phenomena. I hope you are understanding. So, sociological school of jurisprudence has emerged as a result of synthesis of various jurist thought. The exponent of this school consider law as a social phenomena. They are chiefly concerned with the relationship of law to other contemporary social institutions. They emphasize that the jurist should focus their attention on social purpose and interests solved by law rather than on individuals and their actions. According to the school, the essential characteristics of law should be to represent common interaction of man in social groups, whether past or present, ancient or modern. The main concern of sociological jurists is to study the effect of law and society on each other. So both they are trying to understand, they understand both law and society and their relationships. They treat law as an instrument of social progress. The relation between positive law and ideals of justice also affects the sociology of law. It would therefore be seen that sociological jurisprudence is a multi-dimensional approach to resolve immediate problems of society with tools which may be legal extra, legal and techniques which promote harmony and balance of interests of society. So just try to understand sociology of or the law or the sociology of jurisprudence tries to understand the both pragmatic as well as the theoretical school of thought. So both pragmatic school of thought, you can say that both practicality as well as theoretical of law becomes very important in sociological jurisprudence and sociological law. So when we have to understand, compare and contrast between what is sociological jurisprudence and how it is different from sociology of law. So it would be pertinent to draw attention between sociological jurisprudence and sociological law, which appears to be similar concepts. Though it is difficult to draw a hard and fast line of demarcation between the two because of their identical subject matter, they do difference in respect of their theme and approach to law. Sociological jurisprudence is a functional study of law applied to concrete social problems in order to make law an effective instrument of social control for harmonizing the conflict interest of individuals in the society. In this sense, law has a wider connotation and includes judicial decisions and administrative process used for reconciling the competing interest of the people. It is for this reason the sociological jurisprudence has also been called a functional jurisprudence or jurisprudence of interest or jurisprudence of social engineering. So these words you have to keep in your mind: social engineering, social solidarity, social interest. So what is sociology of law then? Sociology of law, on the other hand, is a descriptive study of law and legal institutions of a given society. As Roscoe Pound rightly remarks, sociology of law is mainly a descriptive study of law in a theoretical manner. It treats law as just one of the several aspects of society and therefore has a several positions as compared to society, which is the main theme of sociology. Thus, strictly speaking, sociology of law is just a branch of sociology. It's just a branch of sociology. According to Hall, sociology of law is a theoretical science which consists of generation regarding social phenomena so far as they refer to contents, purposes, application, and effects of legal rules. So please keep in your mind that how these two things are different from each other, and you have to relate with uh, uh, so many like social issues also. So now move to the next slide. Social thinkers associated with the sociological jurisprudence. So there are many social thinkers associated with the sociological jurisprudence. So number one is Ehrlich. He was a Austrian legal scholar. So Austrian legal scholar, and he is considered as one of the most important thinker of modern era. So Ehrlich, if you look at his understanding, so according to him, law is considered as one of the most important uh, uh, component, and law is very much related with society. The main source of law is society. So what is law and what is society? Society means we're talking about regular social relationships. So law somewhere takes uh, various understandings of the subject of various social issues and from society itself. So law tries to understand society more deeply. So law and society both are interrelated according to Ehrlich. So the main source of law is society. Just keep in mind. Remember, he has given so he has given the term living law. So you have to remember this term living law. And living law means he was talking about how law is interrelated or interconnected with the various social institutions. So all the social relationships are deeply influenced by law. If you look at any particular social institution, you can find there are certain legal aspects are there. If you look at marriage also has like Hindu Marriage Act 1955. So there are many other like rules and regulations are there. Divorce Act is there. So there are many legal terminology that you can find in all the social institutions. So law protects us. So that means law is everywhere. Fundamental rights, just understand the context of fundamental rights. You will be able to understand how law is interrelated. He also said that center of gravity of all legal developments is not in legislation or judicial decisions, but society itself. Of course, if you look at law, law cannot survive in isolation. So law needs some kind of interrelations. Law is part and parcel of society. So if you look at who are making these various kinds of societies or communities, of course individuals. So who is creating all kinds of culture? Individuals. So individuals, societies are interrelated to each other. Both are important for each other, but at the same time we need law to make society more objective in nature, to make society more scientific and rational. So therefore it's said that the center of gravity of our legal developments is not in legislation or judicial decision, but society itself. Of course, what we are discussing in courts in various decisions, of course, we're talking about society. We're talking about various social issues. If you're talking about any individual case, we are discussing any individual um, case study that is also influenced by social relations. So number two scholar we have Roscoe Pound. He was an American legal scholar. His theory is considered as important in sociological jurisprudence. He has coined the term social engineering. So earlier, if you look at Ehrlich, he was talking about living law. That you have to remember. Living law means law is everywhere. So social engineering also very important. Law is a body of knowledge and experience with the help of which a large part of social engineering is carried on. The central objective of law is to create a balance in the society. So it's a kind of social engineering. So if you look at any particular article, a fundamental article, right to equality, uh, right, fundamental rights and discrimination. So at one side we have individual rights, on the other we have uh, states' right to impose certain restrictions. So there, law plays a very important role. So there you have to understand that how Pound is talking about social engineering. So if you look at social engineering, then we have to keep in mind that how law creates a balance between two things. Number one, at one side we have state, on the other we have individuals. So how both are interrelated to each other, how state protects its citizens, and how state deals with crime, how state controls the society, how state maintains the social order. So what are the different responsibilities of the individuals, of society, or of its citizens. So please remember, uh, Roscoe theory becomes very important social engineering. Auguste Comte is considered as founding father of sociology. So Auguste Comte was talking about law of human progress. So this law was given by Auguste Comte in his book, A Positive Philosophy. The book has been written between 1830 to 1842. So this is considered one of the most important books. The law of human progress is also known as the law of progress or the law of three stages. It is mainly based on the method of scientific comparison of the evolution of society with reference to time. Comte believed that the evolution of the human society takes place with the evolution of human mind. In this context, every branch of human knowledge passes through different stages of development, that is theological, metaphysical, and scientific. The theory of positive science deals with three things, and that I already explained you. And if you look at Auguste Comte theory, it deals with human mind and human imaginations. So if you look at each of our leading conception, each branch of our knowledge passes successfully through different theoretical conditions. The theological are fictitious, the metaphysical abstract, and the scientific positive. In theological stage, the human mind is seeking the essential nature of beings, the first and final causes, the original and purpose of all effects, supposes all phenomena to be produced by the immediate action of supernatural beings. In the metaphysical state, the mind supposes abstract forces, veritable entities capable of producing all phenomena. In the final, the positive stage, the mind has given over the vain search about after absolute notions, the origin and destination of the universe and the causes of phenomena, and applies itself to the study of their law. That is their invariable relation of succession and resemblance. So you have to remember about that how Comte was talking about different schools of thought, and if you look at Comte, sociology deals with positive sociology. So if you look at this one, positivist approach is also considered one of the most important approach in sociology. So Auguste Comte is also considered as one of the most important scholar of sociological jurisprudence. So Duguid, he was from France, and Duguid is also his theories is deeply influenced by Auguste Comte and Emile Durkheim. Auguste Comte deals with positive sociology, and if you look at Emile Durkheim, his theories deals with social solidarity. So Duguid is also talking about social solidarity, and he was talking about the social relationships, the various kinds of like how people, how we should focus more on social solidarity. So social solidarity in Hindi means we talk about ekjutta. So how we are united. So he was trying to understand how law unites society. So Duguid focused mainly on that part. So Rudolf von Ehring, a German jurist, he's also considered father of modern sociological jurisprudence. His theories deals with both analytical and sociological school of thought. All the social interests are protected by the state. So if you look at analytical, if you look at contemporary sociology aims at the analysis, understanding, and interpretation of modern societies in the framework of permanent organization of historical societies. So if you look at sociological school of thought, so according to Rudolf von Ehring, all the social interests are protected by the state. So if you look at your interest, individual interest, so individual interests are also protected by the state. But if you look at state's interest, if you look at social interest, means we're talking about everybody. We're talking about both macro and micro. So if you look at how government is dealing with the present situation, present condition, like with COVID-19. So government or the state, they are talking about everybody. They're not talking about individual to individual cases. They're talking about COVID-19 as a whole problem of India. So they are dealing with this particular issue in a very systematic manner. That is all about social interest. When we are using our social interest, means we're talking about the society. So it's not about individual interest, it's about social interest. So social interest means interest of all the individuals are protected by the state. So we have another scholar, Emile Durkheim. So Emile Durkheim is also considered as the professional father of sociology. So Auguste Comte was talking about social fact, social organizations, and repressive and restitutive law. So these three theories are very important to understand when you have to understand the uh, sociological jurisprudence. So if you look at social fact, Auguste Comte has discussed the social fact in his book, The Rules of Sociological Method. The book has been published in the year 1895. This work is a methodological study of Durkheim, and its primary aim is to outline the nature of sociological subject matter and to set out the steps of sociological investigation. By and large, the text, Rules of Sociological Method, covers four basic areas of investigation. Number one, it identifies the nature of social subject matter by putting forward a definition of social facts and collective representations. Number two, it outlines the rules to be used in observing social subject matter. Number three, it sets out criteria for making judgments about healthy and unhealthy societies. Number four, it identifies a system for classifying society according to their structure and complexity, a process Durkheim referred to as social morphology. So you have to remember these four things, which are very important. So the main thrust of Durkheim's methodology is social facts, social phenomena, social facts, and these are the subject matter of sociology. They have, according to Durkheim, distinctive social characteristics and determinants, which are not amenable to explanations on the biological or psychological level. Durkheim defines social fact as a social fact is every way affecting, fixed or not, capable exercising on the individuals an external constant, or gain every way affecting which is general throughout a given society, while at the same time existing in its own right independent of its individual manifestations. So please remember these various forms of social movements are the social facts you should understand. So what is uh, repressive and restitutive law? Repressive means he was talking about a primitive law, a very traditional law. And when he was talking about restitute means he was talking about liberal law. So you can understand repressive and restitutive law with reference to both ancient India and modern India. So ancient India, you can find more repressive law, more harsh law as compared to the modern India, where you can find more liberal laws when it comes to judiciary, when it comes to various kinds of judgments. Just go to judgments and you can find that now we have more liberal laws where you'll get an opportunity to defend yourself. So we have another scholar, Max Weber. So Max Weber is also considered one of the most important thinker of sociological jurisprudence. So Max Weber is talking about rationality that we discussed in legitimacy uh, part. Um, Max was talking about legal system. He was talking about law and bureaucracy. Max Weber, he was from German. He was a German sociologist, and Max Weber is also considered very important in sociology. So Weber's methodology is primarily related to uh, Worstian ideal types. So he's talking about two things: Worstian and ideal types. Worstian means he was talking about understanding. So Worstian is a German word that means understanding. So if you look at Max Weber, rationality and legal system, that is also considered one of the most important. Rationality means we're talking about reason-based societies. We're talking about a society where uh, we're talking more about science. We're talking about uh, more about practicality. So this is a key concept of Weber's work. used to refer to standard of actions whose substance lies in weighing up of means and ends. So, what is legitimacy? Legitimacy is a belief in the legal system. So, legitimacy it's a very exploratory term. So, when you compare legitimacy with rationality, rationality means we're talking about how we should make more a rational system. So rational means we're talking about more scientific system. So now we're talking about transparency and accountability, or transparent and accountable India. So that is also one good initiative taken by the government when it comes to bureaucracy. So bureaucracy means there should be no corruption. So rationality as a concept becomes very important. So rationality and bureaucracy are related to each other. Legitimacy means a belief in the legal system, how you are dealing with the legal system, and how people are thinking about your role. So legitimacy is very much related to legal system, but at the same time, the people who are associated with the legal system, who have the authority to exercise power, also becomes a unit of investigation of sociological jurisprudence or sociology. Legal system means we're talking about one institutions where we have to discuss about judiciary. We have to discuss about the role of various individuals associated with the legal system. We have to discuss about legal institutions. So we are trying to understand how legal system influences the other institutions, how legal system plays a very significant role in society. Law means we're talking about which is written, which is codified, which is considered very important when we have to give direction to the society. We also talk about rules and regulations. We are talking about how law plays a very constructive role when it comes to contemporary India, or how law brings social change, how law is important for social progress, and how law is very important for social harmony, or or when we have to discuss about social justice or equality. So all this concept becomes very important in social jurisprudence by Max Weber. So number one that we have to keep in mind that sociological jurists are concerned more with the working of law rather than uh, with the nature of law. It considers law as a social institution conscious, which can be consciously, which can be made and also changed, modified, or retained on the basis of experience. So, sociological jurists lay emphasis upon social purposes and social goals and expectations, which are the law subverses rather than sanction and coercive character of law. Sociological jurists look on legal institutions, doctrines, and precepts functionally and consider the form of legal precepts as a matter of means only to satisfy greatest goods of the greatest number. So please remember one thing which is very important when we have to understand sociological jurisprudence. So please understand that sociological jurisprudence means we're talking about social functioning of law. So we are trying to understand how different legal institutions, how they influence our society, how they functions, what is the impact of law, and how is the impact of law. So we have to understand. We understand the nature of law. We are trying to understand the law in relation to the other society. So I request everyone to go through the lecture, to go through the study material or PPT that I will share with you, and to have a good understanding of sociological jurisprudence and sociology of law, because these concepts are very important for you and for a law student. Uh, so please remember that such topics you have to be very much clear. You have to clear doubts, and if there will be any query or doubts or any questions, you can ask me through mail, or you can contact me. So now I will stop here. Thank you.